Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Quiet on Set. This week I have Kev and two special guests, Zoe and Patrick.
How's it going?
Ajay, hey.
Today we're going to be talking about the new Planet of the Apes trilogy and our thoughts on it. Kev, would you like to kick us off?
Not really, no.
Of course not.
I rewatched the fourth one last night. I hadn't seen it in a few years actually. I loved it. I loved it the first time I saw it.
I loved the evolution of Caesar. I think it was really
The thing that jumped out at me, because I obviously seen the new one recently, was just how far they've come, and it's just a trilogy.
We watched the first two before we went to see Dawn or War. So
whatever they're called.
you could really see the change in even the quality of how they looked and stuff like that.
They look incredible in this film.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
They look real.
Yeah.
We read a review. One guy actually thought they were suits.
If they were suits, that would be fucking incredible.
Yeah, but your man was in his late 80s. He thought it was a sequel to the original Planet of the Apes, so leave him off.
These apes really have come on, haven't they?
But I remember when Rise first came out, I saw the poster for it and I was like, Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Like, who
and then
gives
Dawn,
a shit?
it was Rise of the Dawn at the start, the beginning of the film.
Yeah, and I had no interest in seeing it. And then I remember I got a call off my granny and she goes, have you seen the trailer for that new film out? And I was like, no. And she goes, I think it's called Revolution. It's because in the ads for Rise it was called Evolution Becomes Revolution. She thought the fucking thing was called Revolution. I was like, oh yeah, we'll go see it. And I was blown away. I came out of that film and I was like, Jesus Christ, Planet of the Apes is the best film so far this year. I love Rise, how I didn't realise it until we, watched it coming up to War. But that film's story is done after the first hour. The film is only 100 minutes long. The last 40 minutes is an action set piece.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's stunning.
The gorilla jumps in a helicopter. Of course it's stunning.
Yeah, it's class. Because, then when you go into Dawn, I came out of Dawn and I was like, it's a completely different type of film. It's much slower. It's not that kind of get up and go.
It's a lot darker as well.
Yeah, but I think it's far more sophisticated and mature as well with the themes that it deals with.
As you said, it's like a Shakespearean.
Yeah, I get real Shakespearean vibes from it. A whole Julius Caesar kind of betrayal thing. Between Caesar and Koba, and then with the original Planet of the Apes, the first 5, people have said that they're extremely political. Do you know the
100%?
Do you know the Craig Mark Kermode?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he
avid follower of Mark.
Yeah, he said that everything that he knows about politics was taught to him by the first 5.
There's the one that directly inspires Rise is, what's it called? It's called Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and it's literally Caesar saying no, speaking for the first time in a society that just treats apes like absolute slaves, genuinely. And then there's a part in it. There's black characters throughout the series, and they're considered the sympathetic character. And the Caesar in Conquest says, "You should understand. You should know what it's like to be treated like a slave. You should understand." And then there I was reading, because I did avid research on the various wikis, and one of the creators of Planet of the Apes, he said, lots of black people associate themselves with the apes because they understand the struggle that they go through. So it's kind of it's a natural. They feel it's a natural comparison. They change the thing to these are apes, so they're not people.
Yeah.
But they act like people. They talk like people, and they're very the first film in contrast to the third film is they're essentially a mirror. In the first film, it's Taylor who can speak, and the people are animals, and in the third one, it's the apes that can speak, and the people that can speak and the apes are animals. And they both get treated exactly the same by their respective societies. So we have to kill them, we have to get rid of them, he has to stop talking. Yeah.
And what I love about the new trilogy is that while the original 5 were all about politics, I think there's political elements to the new trilogy, but what strikes me most about them...
It's more of a story than a political statement, though, I feel.
Oh, well, there's definitely a story there, but I think in terms of thematically, the new trilogy is all about history and human history repeating itself.
Yeah.
And one of the parallels that I kind of drew between it was between that and the events of World War II. And I'm not saying that these new films are an allegory for World War II, but you can see similarities in there. The whole thing of apes being in captivity in the first one, and then they band together and rise up. That's very similar to the state that Germany was in following World War One, where they were pretty much blamed for the war. And then, I mean, Germany was in pieces after that.
Kept taking pieces away from them.
Yeah, and it was like one of the deepest depressions that the country had ever seen. And when you're in a state like that, people get very angry. And that's how they turn towards people that have kind of, political sway, who are very persuasive. So you get Caesar, who kind of leads the rise. And then when you get into the second one with Dawn, there's elements of that are blatantly, historical, taken from World War II, with Koba attempting to assassinate Caesar, and then they burn the ape home, which
and
is
then they assume that it's humans,
and they assume that it's the humans. That's exactly what Hitler did when he burned the Reichstag,
and then he allegedly assassinated not allegedly, that chap died because he's like 1 million years old.
And he told the German people that it was Russia that did it,
and then he became the leader.
Yeah, and this happens so many times. It's about trying to anger the public. If you stage an attack on yourself, people who are in allegiance with you will get angry, and then
they need someone to blame.
The numbers in the army surge, and that's how they convince so many young German men and women to join the army and fight the Allies. And then you get into war, and
it was
so
like a
good.
concentration camp.
It's a Holocaust.
Yeah, it's a Holocaust movie.
Yeah,
that's horrifying.
I think I said this. I always say it. I don't know why it got 12A rating because it's extremely dark and
but it's monkeys. That's essentially the argument they make.
I know, I get it, and everyone comes up to me and says the Ape movie, and it's like, but it's not. I don't think they understand that.
That's what I mean in terms of from the first one to the third one, how far it transforms.
Yeah.
The first one was kind of, up until the end, it was kind of fun and sweet. Like you got to see this baby ape.
It was bright. Yeah.
What did you think of James Franco?
He was great. I love James Franco.
I love James Franco, but that was an interesting role for him. But I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, he was great.
I think the first point is when they bring him to the Redwoods and they have the lead on him, and then the Alsatian dog starts barking at him, and I think that's the first point when he finally starts to realise that he a pet, he's not really free, and then you kind of see the change in his attitude, and he kind of snaps at the dog, and then I think they're taking it back with it.
I think that's one of the strongest parts of the whole trilogy, is that there's very few trilogies that encapsulate the life of somebody from beginning to end. Yeah. And I suppose we should have given a spoiler warning.
If people are listening to this,
they know
we're reviewing the movie.
The film's been out a couple of weeks now. If you haven't seen it, this is a spoiler review of that film.
And it is amazing, that when you watch War, you're like, Jesus, that's the same. You look at him as a person, that's the same person that we saw as a baby in that lab, and it's my favorite trilogy of all time.
All by a mile, definitely.
Yeah, when I was coming up to War, I was like, I was really nervous about it. I didn't know whether it was going to be good or not, and
a lot of people didn't like it. I found a lot of people were like, I really liked the first two, but I didn't like that one.
I think the reason why is because it's called War.
And nothing happens.
And they saw the running time, 2.5 hours, brilliant. It's going to be 2.5 hours of
blood and guts and gore.
Spears flying and guns being fired. And that's not what it is. It looks
I think they thought they were going to get more of Koba riding on a horse.
I'm glad they didn't do that, because that just shows the intelligence of the apes, how far they've come, and that's the point. They're almost human-like, and they're smart, they're strategic. They're not going to go stupidly in like an animal and attack.
Well, to be fair, they had a tank at the end of the segment. So they could work out something.
Because when it's called War for the Planet of the Apes, it doesn't mean that you're going to be sitting there watching a war. And I think I can't believe that a film like this was made, because it's so mature for a blockbuster that costs $150 million to make. I think Matt Reeves is one of the best filmmakers in the world right now, and he's being allowed to make films that are of an almost art house level, but he's given Christopher Nolan production budgets. It's like what Christopher Nolan did with Batman Begins, is that it is so far beyond everything else that was being made in terms of the superhero genre at the time. And I think War for the Planet of the Apes does what Batman Begins did for the superhero genre, only for blockbuster cinema.
Yeah.
And I mean, war, it kind of meditates on certain aspects of war. And in this case, it talks about, you know, not the people involved in the shooting, but the people who are affected by it, prisoners of war, all of that kind of stuff. And there's a brilliant line in the trailer that didn't end up in the film, and I think maybe it's because, I don't know, the director might have thought it was too heavy-handed or something, but it's when the Colonel says, in order to save humanity, we have to abandon our humanity. And that's what the whole film, I think, is about, where the humans are becoming more and more animalistic as they're trying to grab onto what they're losing.
Yeah.
And it's the apes who don't want the war; they just want to be left alone.
Yeah. But that was like the best bit in the film is like at the start when Caesar's like, "Are you gonna just kill us already? You're just animals." And he's like, "No, we'll spare you." And then it turns out that humans are animals because then they come back.
It's like a natural instinct with humans. It always has been with wars. They have to be the top of the food chain, and they can't just accept like peace and we go our separate ways. It's like, no, we're not bound down to like apes basically.
Well,
they're beneath us.
The thing that was great was that they gave you kind of Woody Harrelson's point of view, like his character in it, the Colonel. He's like, you completely understand where he's coming from. Like, if he just left at peace and he didn't kill all the apes, they'd have died anyway. Like the humans would have died anyway.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of that with the virus thing?
I think like when I compare it to, like,
what was it, a virus, wasn't it?
It was a virus, yeah. I think
right, when it mutated.
Yeah.
I think it makes it more real because, like, in the original trilogies, humans just couldn't speak. It was just like they just stopped speaking.
Yeah, because they're like the cattle in it. I thought that was I thought that was like ingenious. It was such an elegant kind of solution to that in the original film, and it made perfect sense. You know how this virus just kind of adapted and mutated to the point where it would become damaging to those who it didn't immediately kill, you know?
Yeah, which is what a virus would do if it survived.
Because viruses, you know, adapt and mutate all the time.
It also makes more sense because, like, Tim Burton in his one, God, I got so angry about this. He just didn't bother. They could just speak.
Yeah.
And I was like,
really?
Yeah, and it completely takes away because, like, they treat them like complete, like, not even animals, but lower than animals. Like, there's a bit where he just fucking nails Mark Wahlberg onto the floor and rips his mouth open, and he's like, "Is there a soul in there?"
Yeah.
Like, he can speak, he can think. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Whereas, like, if they can't speak, it's just like it makes sense why you would treat them as animals because, like, animals can't speak.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you know, everybody noticed, depending on whether you liked war or not, and if you didn't like war, I don't know what you like because it is like the best of the best, but is the special effects and how realistic,
so
you know,
incredible.
motion capture has become. And, you know, while people are going on saying, oh, it has to win the Oscar for this and that, and it should, but I think the most important element of the realism in the film is how we can relate to the characters based on how real they look. Like, you
Just
get that.
looking into their eyes was enough.
Oh
to
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most impressive shot in the whole film is when they go into that cabin where they find Nova kind of hiding in the bed, and
Maurice
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 comes
is
right up
looking
to the
at her.
camera, and I was looking at that and I could not tell that it wasn't real.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. I was like, that's an orangutan that has just been directed in a scene. Like, I don't know how that happened.
Nothing jumping out at me in terms of other films that are on that level of special effects. Like, it's arguably the best special effects done in a film. Like,
Oh, it is, absolutely.
If they don't win for effects,
do you know when you watch, like, we talked about Valerian, you go into that fake world and you're like, this is so fake straight away.
Yeah.
There's
And
no
the apes,
kind of natural.
you're looking, as you say, with the apes, and it's like, you think this is a real film, and they've gone out to the wild with a camera and actually recorded
It was
these
like when I was
apes.
watching
Yeah.
I Seen Legend of Tarzan, and they have apes in it. Well, you can call them apes. They're just kind of black blocks that move around the film. And like, he fights one, and you're just like, is that guy? What's going on?
Yeah, like I think the scene for me where the realism and special effects shows how important it is the scene in which they're building the wall. The humans are getting them to build up the wall, and like they fall off the scaffolding and war kind of stops for a second, and
you can pick literally any ape in that scene.
yeah,
It's like,
it's when Caesar
that moment was
tells him to
incredible as
stop
well.
whipping him. And I think there's a moment in each one of the 3 films where Caesar says something. You know, I think in the first one, obviously, it's no. When I saw that, the cinema went dead.
everyone
Like,
goes-
you could hear a dog barking down the street. That's how quiet everything went. And then in Dawn, I think the first time you hear him speak in Dawn, where he
It's
says
go.
go,
Yeah.
and you're just like shaking with fear.
Because before that, wasn't he? He was just like kind of grunting and like sign language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just
even though
shouts.
with the film, when I was watching the fourth one last night, and the first time he speaks and says like no, even I'm like wow, that's like
It's amazing.
you feel like it's real and an
Yeah.
actual ape
But
is
like
talking.
the terror on Draco Malfoy's face is just like it's just grip. Like you just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I would be that scared if a chimpanzee was holding me and said no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because you'd be terrified in the first place, but then they speak, you'd be like, what the fuck?
And like in War, it's in that scene where the work stops, and the colonel puts a gun to Caesar's head, and he says, "Tell them to start working again," and he won't, and he's counting them down.
And then Lake is just like
That's the shot.
Lake
That's the
was-
shot. Is when she lifts that
Yeah.
rock up above her head, and it's because she looks so realistic, and
looks
apes
terrified
look
as
so
well.
similar to humans. And obviously, she's not wearing any clothes. When you see her lifted up, it looks like a woman who's just like wasting away.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the bit that hit me the hardest. I remember like crying during that scene because it was like watching a woman in that situation. It was like watching Schindler's List.
Yeah.
And that was the moment for me where I was like, that's why this film needed to look as realistic as it does. Not because, oh, look what we can do.
Yeah.
It's like, this is
it wasn't
actually
about
important.
technology, it was about emotion and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and emotion.
It's like you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, this year's one, Volume 2.
That was pure spectacle.
I
There's no-
absolutely loved it. There's nothing realistic about that film, but it doesn't need to be. If War didn't look realistic, that moment wouldn't have worked half as well as it did.
Completely agree. Like, as you said with Guardians, like, you go in there suspending your belief, basically.
Yeah.
Disbelief, you know what you're getting, and you accept that this is the world,
Yeah.
and this can happen, but with apes, because they're so human-like, as you said, it would not work if it was too over-the-top CGI and fake-looking. It'd take you out of that moment.
Just while we're talking about the original trilogy, that no moment, in the second planet, not the second, the third Planet of the Apes movie, they the humans ask the apes what happened, and they say that the apes, that all the dogs and cats died, and because apes are so small, that humans needed pets, so they adopted apes as pets, and then as the apes grew closer to humans, they grew more intelligent and they could do more and more tasks, like being bartenders and stuff. And then eventually one ape rose above the rest, and he said a word that was uttered to him countless times upon measure, and that word was no. So I had that going into the first movie.
Yeah.
So when he said no, like, that's 50 years of build. Like, in the film where Caesar speaks for the first time is conquest, but he doesn't say no.
Yeah.
The word is kind of just around him. But in this, he actually said, he says it, and it's so authoritative. It's just such a powerful moment.
The scene with, we say Malfoy.
Whatever his name is.
Is
Tom
it-
Felton?
Tom
Felton,
Felton,
yeah,
I
that's
can't
what it
remember
is.
his name. Where Caesar comes face to face with him in the caged area where all the apes have been released, and they're watching it back on the camera, like the police and James Franco and all. I just thought that was amazing, and they're all in awe and in shock that this actually happened.
Yeah.
I just thought it was amazing. And how good is that bridge scene?
Oh,
it's
it's amazing.
The use of the fog and all, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
it
it is.
fulfills the San Francisco stereotype. You can't have that film in San
Do
Francisco.
you know, like, what I also
Yeah.
love is the use of the horses in it, because obviously they're animals as well,
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
they're like the apes would see them beneath them, kind of.
Yeah.
It's a bit of irony there.
And I love how it's almost like the films get more and more confident as they go along in terms of like the filmmaking on display. You know, the first one does look fantastic, but then Dawn just ratchets it up even more.
Yeah.
Like that assault on the city in the second half of
Yeah.
Dawn. You get that unbelievable shot where the camera's been mounted on the top of a tank
turret, yeah,
as
it's
the
flying
turret is
around.
rotating around, and it doesn't leave that shot the whole way around, just keeps on going. I think that shot lasts nearly a minute.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And then you get into War, and the one thing I noticed about War is that there's very few shots in that film when you consider the length of it. Like that opening assault on that kind of that barricade that they've built. All those shots are long, wide
Yeah,
crane
yeah.
shots, and they move very slowly. you know, and that's what I loved about it the most, is because when I look at an action sequence, I want to see it.
Yeah,
I want to see
like
everything
someone's
in it.
hand and
Yeah.
then the face they're hitting and then them hitting. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, because I appreciate looking at shots where it's like everything in this shot has been coordinated and thought about. When you see 17 different shots and they're all shaking around,
That's someone that recorded several things to see what they could do.
Yeah.
And it becomes boring, you know. The amount of war films that you see, not just shooting war films, but like, you know, sandals and swords, and they're cut to bits, and I just can't see it. But then you get a film like Gladiator where everything is all out wide, and it's so captivating to watch.
Like I go to a film to see spectacle. I don't go to a film.
It
to see
takes you
someone's
out
hand.
of it. I think the film when there's too many cuts because
Yeah.
you're
You're just
reminded
like,
that it's a film and
Yeah.
that there's a cameraman there. Then I think when it's just a continuous shot, sometimes you're in it. You're invested. Like
Yeah.
I think the strongest kind of piece of evidence to support that is in Stephen Queen's Hunger. Did you ever see that one with Michael Fassbender who's playing Bobby
it's on my
Sands?
list, though,
There's a shot in that film that's 22 minutes long. I think it's 22 minutes long.
Jesus.
Or it's definitely over 20. And it's just Michael Fassbender and I think it's Liam Cunningham. I could be wrong. But the two of them are sitting across from a table and they're just having a conversation. And it doesn't feel like 20 minutes. But you actually forget that you're watching a film. You're just
You feel
listening
like
to
you're
these
there.
two people.
I think another example
talk.
of that actually a film I've seen this year was Fences. It's
Oh, it's
just
brilliant, yeah.
Oh my God.
continuous.
That's
They
think
don't
Fences.
cut for the sake of cutting. They
Yeah.
just have the scene go on, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
dialogue between.
I didn't realise that was Mike Epps until months afterwards. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, I know what Mike Epps looks like. It was just he was so good in it, I didn't recognise him.
Like the dialogue and Denzel and Viola Davis, how phenomenal they were just to continuously do that.
Yeah,
She
Viola
was
Davis is the best part of
brilliant.
it.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was
definitely.
absolutely incredible.
I thought it was interesting because that was essentially a stage play that they recorded just in real places, and it was an interesting idea. And then it obviously enhances their performances because they're essentially like they can obviously re-record scenes, but like the pressure would be on to get like the scene great straight away. Like I think that's just adds to the films.
In the because I haven't seen them, the original 5 films. Obviously, I think we're supposed to root for the humans, are we?
No,
Are we not?
100%.
No,
They
we're
like
pro
only,
apes in that.
only in the first film, like when like the main character is a person, is that like even then it's just him, because like the people are just like animals. So you don't really
What
care.
about the? I've seen this and it's so forgettable, and I hate it. Mark Wahlberg one. Aren't you supposed to like say it? Like
I have no idea who you're supposed to like in
Yeah.
that film because I hated fucking everybody all the way through it. the only people that were redeemable in that film was simply based on their performance. Like Helena Bonham Carter is great.
Paul Abdul's great.
Who? Fucking what's his name? Paul Giamatti is amazing. Like his character is so sinister, and then
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth was
He's the best part of that
is
He is.
terrifying.
It's not his fault he was in that film, but he's really good in it.
And then I think they're added like the prosthetic work in that film is incredible.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It
Definitely.
improved on it. So I think, like, in terms of, like, you know, practical effects, you can't get any better than what was in Tim Burton's Planet of
Because
the
like
Apes.
Tim Roth looks like a chimpanzee the whole film.
I think
Yeah.
it's
He
safe to
moves
say
and all
though
this
that
great.
film killed off the franchise before.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
that was purely
Yeah.
based on like the shitty story and the like the direction was okay, like it's shot well as like an action film, not a good sci-fi film.
And you know what, like, ironically enough, it's looking like War is going to finish the franchise as
Yeah,
well.
I heard someone said that
Another one, yeah.
the director I think said
But
that he was like, I'll make another one.
I
if they want me
don't.
to."
I think I'm happy with a trilogy. I think it's,
Trilogy
as
is
you said,
perfect.
arguably the best trilogy.
I don't
Like,
think they are going to make another one because me and you were watching or looking at the Box Mojo and it dropped.
Did not do well.
completely,
Yeah, that's what I meant by it finishing off the thing. Because they were talking about, you know, doing another one, and I was like, well, with the way War ends, I can't think of a more perfect ending. And now to go into another series of films, and who are you going to focus on? Cornelius? Like, I don't care. And, like, it could be good. If Matt Reeves is going to do it again, it probably would be good. But it just kind of feels like an addition that I don't
the
want.
ending
Yeah.
though to War, I would be kind of annoyed if they did announce to do and make another one because
Yeah.
the ending to War was just, I was like, that's
it.
perfect.
Perfect.
I just want to ask this though, because I'm the only one that noticed this. You didn't notice
Stop
that.
mentioning- I know.
But I saw it straight away, and everyone else who I've spoken to didn't notice it. Did you notice something special in the final shot.
Yeah, that's
of
the
War.
lake where they skinny dip at the start of Planet of the Apes, isn't it?
Well, it is, but when the camera tilts up towards the sky,
Is there a pod fall?
in the top right hand corner, it looks like a giant red star, and that's the spaceship coming back down to Earth.
Yeah, well, I think like that film, the whole way through that film, they're making slight subtle references to the original. Like they have the scarecrows and the crucified apes, and then they walk through the valley, all the way through to the I was like, oh, that's the valley from. Oh, look, and then because I just watched the original, so I was like, oh, nice, and then the subtlety was just brilliant.
But because you see the ship coming back down, I think that just proves that this is not
the end.
It's not a prequel trilogy to the new one. It is a complete remake, because if they were going to make a sequel, the sequel to War is not Planet of the Apes for the Charlton Heston version. You know, it's completely different. The clothes that they wear, you know, the way they interact with the humans, like the world is completely different. Yeah. So if they were to do a sequel to War, it would just be Planet of the Apes, and it would bear no resemblance to the original one. Because I think it started off as a prequel to Planet of the Apes, but now it's just kind of evolved into, well, now it's just its own thing.
Ironically, evolved the appropriate
evolved,
word.
yeah.
The same Rise even showed like a clip of the spaceship going off. And
there was like a news snippet.
Yeah, that's right.
And then at the end, like there was that news bulletin saying it's lost in space, or it was on the newspaper saying lost in space.
How shit would that be? Like, I'm gonna go on this mission to Mars to help humanity progress, and come back, and there is no humanity left.
Yeah, and to them they've only been gone a couple of days. But yeah, the reason why I would say that this new trilogy is my favourite trilogy is maybe with the exception of Rise, because I do think that Dawn and War are on another level. Yeah. Rise is excellent as well. I mean, I'd give all of them a 10 out of 10. But my previous favourite trilogy was Toy Story. And when you watch Toy Story 1...
They're hammering that home a little now.
Oh yeah, well now they're doing a fourth one. But yeah, I'm really nervous about that as well. But like when you watch the first Toy Story, you're like, oh, this is amazing. Then you watch the second one and it's even better. You watch the third one and it's even better. And after watching the third one, you go back and watch the first one and you're like, I thought this was that good. It's not nowhere near as good as the new ones. And that's what I mean. Like Toy Story is like a staircase, you know, it keeps going up.
Consistent kind of.
Yeah, this one is just, you know, brilliant, and it feels like one big thing. And as well as that, I think Rise, Dawn and War is a trilogy that everyone would be able to appreciate. Doesn't matter when you go into it. Whereas with Toy Story, I feel like only people our age got the full emotional impact out of that.
That bit at the end of Toy Story where they're going into the furnace, like tears were.
Yeah.
But not even that. The part where he's giving away his toys to someone else.
Yeah, and it's because
broke me.
We are the same age as, and you know, obviously,
away our toys.
And it's like we are him in that story, and that's why I think there will never be another generation that feels towards those films the way that we do.
Yeah, because we grew up with them from a young age. You watched the first one.
Like I still have a Woody doll.
You know, when was the third one? 2011?
2012, I think.
Like that's a long time from the first one to the third one. So you've grown with them.
Yeah.
So you're on an emotional level.
It's like the new Incredibles. Like the amount of memes that are going around. Like no kids are allowed to go into the second one because it's not for them.
No.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. Like,
well, that's what I mean in terms of progressing. Like from the first Planet of the Apes to the third one, like how far they come along. Because usually trilogies or quadrilogies, whatever you want to say, they get worse. They don't get better.
Yeah.
Whereas
they have just got better each
this
one.
This is good because he focuses on quality, but he also focuses on a character and his growth. He actually grows as he gets like more intelligent, more.
But you'd see that with Maurice as well in Rise. Like he knows how to do sign language, obviously because he was in the circus, and then he teaches it in Dawn, isn't it? And then he's able to speak by the end of War. So obviously he's getting more.
From the first one last night, I noticed that as well, where he kind of is like, apes are stupid, and this is before like they got the formula to make them smart. Like, so he was clearly had some intelligence as well. Like,
one last thing, just because I like geeking out about the original quintilogy, I suppose you'd call it. But Apes Never Kill Ape is like introduced into the fifth one. And then that is the direct influence, because in that one, an ape obviously kills an ape, and because if you're gonna put it on a big poster, it has to happen. But like in the original films, the gorillas were the warmongers, so it was interesting to see because like the gorilla was the one that kills Caesar's son Cornelius in the original film, and it's supposed to hammer home this point that they made like 4 films ago. They're like, yeah, gorillas are evil, and they're going to cause the destruction of the entire world. But in this, Koba tries to kill Caesar and like sets the whole fucking place on fire, and then it's just like you just feel so justified when he kills him, and it's such a climactic battle that it's beautiful. Whereas in the original, it was more of a phone-in blockbuster, where it was like 1973, so they just kind of were in a little bit of a scuffle, and then the gorilla fell off a tree and died. It's not even a climactic battle, it's just them kind of balancing on a branch. It's just like, alright, don't fall on it, and then he falls.
I think to clear up your question about the whole quintilogy thing, I think once anything goes past a quadrilogy, you should just call it an anthology. Because you can just get into if you get into like a 6-parter, like what is that? Is that like a sextilogy? Or I think once you get past 4, it's just a series.
Yeah, it's just
Die Hard.
Because at this point, what would Fast and Furious be?
a mess.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
A series, a TV show, basically.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets turned into a TV show when the films end.
I suppose it'd just be a franchise, because like Marvel's on like 15 now.
I know they're higher than that. They're approaching 20, I think.
Yeah.
Like what was Guardians 2? Was that like number 16 or something like that?
Doctor
Remember-
Strange is 18, so yeah.
Do you remember the day we were in college and I think you sat down, I think you had the big poster
And
you
yeah.
tried to explain it to me, Joe.
Yeah.
No, so then there was Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, like when you're trying to explain the chronology of that series to people, that's actually what I did my dissertation on, was the kind of the negative effects
You
of
know, all
cinematic
pieces
universes.
Yeah.
That the deeper down the rabbit hole you go, it's like it becomes more enjoyable for people who are in it from the beginning, but it also becomes more inaccessible as it continues.
Like, you couldn't just turn around and say, do you want to go see Infinity War?
Yeah.
Ah, Jesus Christ. I mean,
Hang on
they
a
wouldn't have a
second.
clue. You'd just be watching colours like go past your eyes. You wouldn't have a
When
clue what's
someone said
happening.
that to me about Logan, when my mates came, like, I haven't seen any of the X-Men.
Yeah,
I'm like,
actually, it's a
I'm like, you
standalone.
can get away with watching it by itself, I goes, but me and my other friend were on a more emotional level because we grew up with
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman from
exactly.
the Foursome, but it's
In
like, so he
tears
couldn't
when
really
he
get
got
it as much at the end
Yeah.
as we kind of got it, because we
Yeah.
were like, it's been such a journey with him, like.
The thing about Logan is when we got to the end of it, like I was legitimately depressed. And what it made me realise was I cared so much more about Wolverine and Professor X than I thought I did.
Yeah.
Because I love certain X-Men films. I think X2, First Class and Days of Future Past are on like the same level. Maybe X2 is probably the best.
Probably.
I didn't like any of the Wolverine films. I think X-Men Origins Wolverine,
jeez.
obviously, but
The
the
Wolverine
Wolverine,
is
no, I
terrible.
didn't like that
No.
either. And I
No.
mean, you're taking Wolverine and you're putting him in Japan with samurai swords. I should love that. You know, I love samurai films. I love Japanese cinema, but I mean, no, it just didn't work for me at all. And then you get into Logan, and
It's another class.
it really is.
Like-
I came out of that and I was like, that is like on the same level for me as The Dark Knight, because The Dark Knight built on Batman Begins and just, you know, took the superhero genre to such a mature level it had never been at before. But Logan, I think, actually even goes further than that, because, you know, The Dark Knight is still about a bad guy who robs banks and,
Whereas Logan, the bad guy, is just life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the bad guy is old age.
And
that
they pure
sounds-
humanized the
Yeah.
mutants,
Yeah.
basically.
Like, it takes an idea that, like, so many studios would be terrified to go near. It's like, you know, what if, you know...
He had arthritis.
what if Wolverine had arthritis? What if Superman developed, you know, MS? No one wants to see that,
Jesus,
but it
that-
turns out that, you know, we actually do.
You do, because then the moment when you get to kind of see a glimpse of the old Wolverine, when he takes like the medicine, you kind of get
incredible.
pumped for it, and you're like, oh, there he is.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
But I loved Professor X. I thought he was just this
Patrick
is
Stewart.
his best film.
I'd like to
as
say Do
Professor
No
X.
Wrong, but then he did
Broke
the
my heart.
emoji movies.
Yeah, well, listen.
And I think it says, I know they've already kind of had a relationship in the other films, but this was like their best one. You've seen how far they've
It
come
was definitely,
along.
you see the like the thought, like it just reflects on their first meeting, whereas like father, like mentor and student, and now they're like
Yeah, and
father
he's
son.
and Professor X is so kind of like professional and well spoken, and in this one he's kind of just broke, and he's like fuck it, and
Yeah.
he's just
Yeah, that
he's
was
excellent.
the
Like
best.
It's so upsetting to watch, because it is like, you know, with Professor X, he essentially has Alzheimer's and he's suffering from seizures, and it takes something so serious and it plays to it. But what if someone who
mind powers.
Yeah, what if someone who had the ability to control your mind couldn't control theirs? And that moment in the Vegas casino where he starts to have that seizure and everyone just freezes.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
And it is like I couldn't say that it is better than The Dark Knight, but I put them on the same level.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think all other films kind of pale in comparison to the two of them because I think they're like truly important films.
I think
and to see that it made so much money, I was delighted. I think it crossed like 700 million. It's one of the highest grossing films this year anyway.
I can't wait to watch the black and white version.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get it on Blu-ray and I can't wait to just
we have it.
kick that up a notch.
But back to Planet of the Apes.
That
always happens to go off topic.
The thing with Planet of the Apes I was saying about it being the last in the series was we were looking at the box office figures and it's by far the worst performing film, and I was really
That's
surprised.
really upsetting as well.
Yeah,
how good it is.
Because I was looking at the box office figures, and the first one made like 490 million, just shy of $500 million, and then Dawn, I couldn't believe it, made $700 million.
Yeah, that was good. Like it would go off the momentum of the first one, and then there's also lots of action scenes in it.
But I had no idea so many people enjoyed.
But you
those
would
films
think
that much.
coming off the first two, how successful they were, people would want to see this tour, even if they went in and didn't enjoy it.
It's like run out of steam at this stage because like
maybe because it's been since 2011, wasn't it? The first one.
Yeah.
It's 2017. I guess it does feel like wow, there's 3 of them, but it's been since 2011.
Like when it was coming out, like. Not that I was kind of shocked because I was like, they're not over, they're not finished. Because like, I didn't know they were making this one until they were like, oh yeah, by the way.
Well, I think that's what makes them credible, is that they were not rushed and half-arsed. They put the time in.
This film was supposed to come out last year, and they were like, no, we need to take the time, we need to make the Apes like fantastic, and they achieved that goal.
Yeah.
They definitely did.
Like it still has to open in China. It's not opening in China until mid-September, and the last one made over 100 million in China alone. So hopefully that increases, but even if it does, between that and South Korea, it's probably only going to make another 150 million at most, which would bring it up to being roughly the same as what Rise made, which is disappointing. You know,
it's disappointing, but I'd still
huge.
deem it a successful trilogy. It's just, you know, it was a great trilogy.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, you always want films like that to make money because that's the only language that studios understand, you know.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care that I came out of it and I was like, you made one of the most important films of this decade. Yeah. They don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah. That's what I have to say to him about the Fast and Furious film. Like, people still don't understand how they get made. And I'm like, because they make money.
Yeah.
And as long as they make money and people go see them, they will continue to make them.
Yeah, I mean, like, Fast 8 had the biggest opening weekend of all time.
It made $1 billion in like a week.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
How are people still going to see
They don't care.
it?
It's like the Twilight films. They made money, so they were going to keep making them.
Yeah.
Well, as many as they could.
Arguably, their quality got slightly better as they went on, but only slightly.
No,
They don't care if the accent's terrible.
Like it had like this blue tone, and then all of a sudden New Moon had like this just like saturation.
Wasn't it like an orangey kind of look to it?
Yeah, like
it's like the Hunger Games. They split that last one, which shouldn't have been a 2-part. But it's just to make the money, basically.
Yeah.
See, I think that the problem most studios have is they think everybody's an idiot.
The only film I accept, and you know I'm not saying this, Harry, but I accept the last film being in 2 parts because the book was just so big. But
but then they left a lot out, and then they superfluous additions.
What would you rate your Planet of the Apes as in? Like, which was your favourite, or would you just?
Wait, for the new trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh, they just go up and up and up.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This one would be the best.
Like,
which it isn't normally. I don't think you would.
It's usually the first one.
Yeah, it's usually like the first one's the best, second one, and then you're like the third one was like
Like I was really excited for this movie, but at the same time, I wasn't as excited as you were.
No, I was
I was looking forward to it, but I didn't really have any expectations for it. I don't know why. I just wasn't really that excited for it. But then when I saw it, it bet La La Land for me. Like La La Land's my number one. All time, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, "This is just."
Wait to watch
I think they need to kind of, you know,
so much.
I think they need to understand more what that means.
Oh, like
nothing was going to beat La La Land. You just have to understand that. Nothing was going to beat that movie.
Everything to me when I saw La La Land.
Yeah.
But
I left that cinema in tears, and there's all people like, "Are you okay?"
No.
No, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
They should have been together, but they weren't.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
We'll chat later.
I think that's like for me why I'm so attached to Logan. It's just because I've being through the whole journey.
I think this year, like a lot of great films, like for me, like I like the musicals of the 50s, and that's what La La Land was.
Yeah, definitely.
And then for this, I really like the original Planet of the Apes, and then this is just a higher echelon of film associated with that franchise. And then with Logan, it was like, I've been a Wolverine fan since I was like 11. So
going completely off topic because you said musicals, but it's not really. But how great is Sing Street?
Oh yeah.
That was incredible. Like for an Irish film with like an alright budget, and it was the guy that made Once. Like I know he makes good films, but like I was not expecting Sing Street to be as good.
No.
So like it's not the commitments, because the ending is a bit weird, but like the music is good, the actors are genuine. Like it's a good film. Like.
See, I'm one of those people that considers The Commitments to be like one of the most overrated films of all time in Ireland. You know, it's like it's like everyone's dad's favorite film is The Commitments. And like you can't just love The Commitments. Having said that, now I think my dad's favorite film of all time is like The Warriors or something. But
is it really?
Yeah, he fucking loves that film. My dad never really like. He doesn't really speak that much, but when he does, like you could come out of a film like you're talking like you've been blown away. It's a life-changingly good film. You'll turn to him and like, what do you think? Oh yeah, it was good, yeah. Like
Kev's like that.
And then years later, he'll go, do you know what was a brilliant film? And you're like, why didn't you say it at the time? It's like it takes him a decade to make his mind up on a film. I know he loves Sin City is one of his favourite films as well. And that's one of those movies that you love when you're a kid. Like when you're a kid and you see Sin City, that's like, Jesus Christ, that's the best thing ever. We watched it coming up to Sin City 2, and that film is cheesy as hell. It is so bad. Well, no, it's not bad. It's an okay movie, but it's getting worse as I get older.
I was trying to think of trilogies that might be better. The only one I can think of that could be on par or slightly under for me is the original Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings
Hobbit.
I think like that's more of a like I wouldn't even consider it a trilogy. It's more like just
one big
epic
film.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same way you look at Kill Bill. I don't consider Kill Bill to be two movies because you can't watch one without the other.
Yeah.
You know,
the second one has the ending of the film in it.
Yeah,
so you kind of need it.
And we were talking about splitting books into two parts and how the majority of the time they do it just for money. With it coming out in September, that is like the first part.
The second part is like the second one is going to be them as adults.
Is when they're adults, but I think that's one of the few books where that 100% warrants it. Because if you were to make a film based on it, the film would be 6 to 8 hours long. Because the book, depending on what print you get, is like 1,100 pages.
Yeah.
And I know because I've read all of it, and it is it's an absolute monument to get from start to finish in that book. But it is two books. I mean, Stephen King could have just cut it in half and then released it as part 1 and part 2 and made a lot more money, but
he didn't.
And it is two complete stories. It is a story of two halves. So this suits it, and I've heard that this new version is like 2 hours and 15 minutes long, which is extremely long for a horror film.
Definitely for a horror film.
It's the same length as The Conjuring 2, which that was very long as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious as well.
Because most
hilarious. I mean, it's excellent.
Most horror films don't break the 100-minute mark.
Yeah.
They don't usually need to. It's just like.
Did you see the Blair Witch remake?
I witnessed it.
Yeah. That's definitely it's definitely a crime. Someone committed a crime.
Wait, did you see Rings?
No, I wanted to.
No, because every time Lisa would say, "Come on, we go see Rings," I'd be like, "No, we're not going to see Rings."
Because she knows all those movies.
Yeah, and then she moans about them because they're shit.
It's like, that was terrible. You wanted to go see it. Why are we here?
See, I'm not really a big fan of the original Blair Witch Project.
It's alright, but it was an interesting way to make a film. But
what did you think of the ending of the original Blair Witch? Because Patrick doesn't believe me. Like, I was so scared of the ending.
Okay, but hold on. Like, you need to preface this with some information.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I haven't seen this film.
I just,
the ending is when they go into that old house in the middle of the woods, and then she goes down the stairs. All she's hearing running through the house is screaming, or you don't even know what's going on, and then you see the guy standing in the corner of the room. That was scary to me.
But look, no, see, this is what you just have to understand. This is what you just have to understand. She's not scared of anything.
Yeah, I don't get scared.
Nothing. Like when we go see horror films, I'm like this. You know, or I'm sitting there like that, you know, I'm terrified of, like, I mean, the Babadook scared the shit out of me, but...
He didn't go to sleep that night when we came home from watching.
I forgot no one can see me. I'm covering my eyes, okay? And Zoe just sits there, like, stone-faced, and you're like, how do you not jump at any of this? So she's like, it's not scary. And then you watch the Blair Witch Project, which is like the least scary film I've ever seen in my life, and she's terrified. I don't understand you.
To be fair, it came out, what, it's 11 years, 12, 15?
How about, I think I was like 9 when I watched
it came out.
it.
As a
Blair Witch?
9-year-old, when you like when you assume that it's real because the film presents itself as a real, like, it's just like some woman.
The original Blair Witch?
Yeah.
That's 18 years old.
The first two films anyway that got me were the Paranormal Activities, because
the first,
they play on your mind, because you're at home going, I hear the door.
You know what, those films aren't the best, but you know part 2 where the mom is sitting in the kitchen, you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where like every press and drawer just flies out at the same time.
Scared the shit out of me.
I thought someone...
And I was on a date at the time. I was like, whoa!
I'm not even messing. Like that felt like someone had kicked me in the stomach. Like when I was sitting in the cinema seat, I like jumped back so much. It was almost like the seat like folded up with me in it. Like that one actually hurt. You know when a film scares you so bad and you pull a muscle.
Yeah.
No.
Like I wonder, can you sue the filmmakers for assault?
I think it was in the first one where they're lying in bed and the covers will come off and he gets reefed out of bed.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then I went to see the new one.
I think I fell behind. Marked one, wasn't it?
No, that was the fifth one. Yeah, it was Paranormal
I
Activity
fell behind
6.
after the third one.
Oh, I know it was like the Ghost something. The Ghost Dimension, that's what it was.
It was like social media.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
They were in the third one too. I don't know. There's kids in all
No,
of
I stopped watching
I
after
know
2.
the little
I was like, that'll
girls
do.
are in the little girls are in number 3, isn't it?
Yes.
And then I'm talking about the little girls in the new one.
I think
Kids
there's girls
freak
in the
me
new
out
one.
in horror films.
No, the thing that I hate the most about horror films is when they get the children to sing in that ominous fucking nurture rhyme thing. It's like, it's just like, because we had it at the end.
1, 2, we're going.
We had it at the end of
spooky.
the credits of like a film that wasn't a horror film, and I could not clean screens when it was on. I was like, no, I am not going in there. I'm waiting until that song is on.
Have you ever been in the screen when it's been like a kids film and something comes on and it's actually a real weird song coming on? You're like, this is creepy as fuck.
I hate it.
Well,
glad there's nobody else.
the only thing I can think of right now is Boss Baby. Did you see that film?
I actually hated that.
I kind of skipped to the end and just watched the credits.
That film made me like seriously uncomfortable to watch that movie. I thought it was so inappropriate from start to finish. Like even right from the start, where all the babies are on the conveyor belt. Some of the jokes in that, you're like, what? Like, did they just do that? Like the bit where they're on the conveyor belt coming along and that machine is like dropping soothers into their mouth, and the baby is like turned on his stomach, and you're like, Are they just about to make like a butt plug joke at the start of a fucking Boss Baby movie? And I'm like, oh my god! I'm not even messing. Every 2 seconds, I just like look at Zoe, just like, did that just happen? Did that just happen?
Yeah.
I came out of that film and I was like, fuck me, like that was like just so wrong.
Did you ever see The Fourth Client? I remember when I first seen that fucked me up.
No, I never actually saw that one.
It's the one with the what's her name? Out of the Resident Evil films.
Mila Jovovich?
Yeah, I think she's in it. And it's about aliens, but like it's like the fourth kind, like the fourth.
Is that where her outfit is like iconic?
Stage.
Is that the one where she's like covered in goo? Is that one?
Is her outfit like iconic where it's like this white, like those straps?
I think I haven't seen it in a few years now, but I remember when I saw it, it was creeping me out.
Are you talking about Fifth Element?
No.
That's not a horror film.
You should check it out. I remember when I first saw Science because I was so young.
You were the only one that fucked up.
Now we watch it and I'm like, and Scary Movie just took the piss out of it, so you can't be afraid.
That's a great movie.
Everybody took the piss out of that movie.
I think we'll wrap Planet of the Apes up because we went completely
off
off topic.
We're just chatting at this stage.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you call this episode.
Planet of the Apes for like the first 20 minutes, and then. But any final thoughts on Planet of the Apes?
I think it's an incredible piece of film, and I hope that studios take a look at this film. I hope people keep going to see it and giving it money, so the studios are like, yeah, we should make more films like this that treat audiences like intelligent people rather than people in seats, which I think just enhances the performance of the film and the actors, because you're like, oh, they actually treat me like an adult rather than holding my hand all the way through it. So, and you should be laughing now. you should be scared now, you should be happy now. But like this film just kind of like you just felt it rather than being told, and I really enjoyed that.
Cool.
Well, I think Matt Reeves is now like quickly becoming one of my favorite filmmakers off the back of those two movies, and I can't think of anyone after Christopher Nolan who I would rather have make, you know, my Batman film. So I'm really, really looking forward to that, especially now that he's talking about the fact that it's going to be more like a Hitchcockian detective thriller.
That would be incredible. Like it would change the Batman movies we know it if you went detective.
That'd be really cool because we've never had that before. You know, I mean, in the Dark Knight ones, they do have like some detective work in there when he's doing like the ballistics on the bullet in the wall and all that kind of stuff.
World's greatest detective. Where is she?
Yeah,
I would love to see the Batman like from the DC Bombshells. I don't know if you've seen the comic books. They have him as like it's like 1950s and he's like in this trench coat and he has like a bulletproof vest on. And it's class.
That sounds deadly.
Yeah.
Kind of takes kind of inspiration from that Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? I think it's like set in the 1800s and it's where I think it is set in Gotham, but the killer is Jack the Ripper. And Batman has this long like, you know, he almost looks like an oil worker where he has this big long black kind of detective's coat coming down and it's really, really cool. Like all the cities are lit by gas lamps and it's supposed to be like this really, really dark, disturbing kind of story. That's what I would want to see, you know.
And isn't there a comic book based on Christmas Carol?
Oh, the Batman Noel.
Yeah, that's meant. I say that would be pretty cool.
That
if
would
they
be
did
cool.
something like that. But yeah.
Planet
of the Apes was great.
And it raised our opinions of Matt Reeves. Certainly. Oh, such an incredible film, and I don't understand why people don't like it, but then I also understand at the same time. Because like I like it because it's the film I wanted.
Yeah.
Whereas other people wanted an action flick where monkeys kill people. Which does happen, but to a lesser degree, because it's more about emotion than action-packed.
I completely agree. I don't think I can do it any more justice than the two of you have just there. It's definitely must see. Like if you've never experienced it, you need to witness it just to appreciate the special effects of it. Just
appreciate, and like you can pick any part of the film and just appreciate it. Like the slight references to the original, the unique storytelling, the performances. Just like pick a character and just follow their performance.
Yeah, I think you know this is the one that should get Andy Serkis an Oscar nomination.
If he doesn't get an
it's gonna end up like Leo, and the next film he does, they'll just give it to him.
Yeah,
it wasn't great, but there you go.
Yeah, but one thing that I find kind of ironic is that he started off his career like as a somewhat like small time actor. He'd only do supporting roles.
Now he's the mocap guy.
Well, he's the mocap guy, but what I find funny about his career is that, you know, he became Gollum and then he became King Kong.
And then he became smaller Kong.
When I watch King Kong, I'm like, oh, that's a gorilla. You know, I'm looking at his movements. Yeah. And that's an amazing performance. As far as I'm concerned, he's been giving Oscar-worthy performances for 15 years and no one has taken notice of it. And it's now like, when he was Kong, no one said anything. And then he was Caesar in Rise, and he was the most, ape-like in Rise. And now he's becoming more human. And now that he's becoming more human, they're like, oh, maybe we should give him an Oscar now that his performance is becoming more normal.
When you look at Caesar in War, like, it looks like Andy Serkis.
Yeah, it does.
Did you see that they did it as a promotional thing where he was just giving it a monologue?
Oh, and it transitions.
Slowly transitions.
It's deadly.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. You still have to show me.
Yeah, it's deadly.
It's just like, yep. I seen that before I went to the movie, and it just completely enhanced my opinion of the acting.
Mm-hmm. No, it's incredible.
It's like, oh my god, yeah. Alright, remember when we were saying we're wrapping up about 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. If you see this on YouTube, give it a like, and maybe a subscribe, and we'll see you next week.